Welcome to Rauta's opinion videos. This is the second of the series Metal and Politics, and in the first episode we basically went through there are lots of bands, whether they're right, whether they're left, whether they're somewhere in between, whether they're criticizing society or being just outright political with their agenda, lyrics and so forth. This time I'm more focusing on black metal, and especially on its right-wing political side, as well as an organization, loosely used word here, called Antifa. Now, this all kind of started when I was talking in the last video about Ministry's latest video called Antifa. Now, those of whom have seen the video might have mixed feelings about this video and its message, and I want to a little bit talk about that before we get actual black metal and Antifa topic. Now, if you haven't seen that video so far, I strongly suggest you take a look at it either before or after this video to get kind of your mindset going on with this idea here. Some of you are most definitely gonna disagree with me, and that's totally fine. Some of you might have no clue what I'm talking about here, so I hope to kind of enlighten you a bit what is going on here and what has gone in the past few years even. And some of you just might have this kind of nod, like, yeah, I know what he's talking about, this is a serious issue and whatnot. And some of you just might not give a jack's ass about it because some of you just are in a different position or just ignorant or simply don't give a rat's bottom all about this Antifa thing and this political stuff, and it's totally okay. But let's first talk about the Ministry's video. So Antifa is kind of has this graphic content about, you know, violence and kind of drastic measures taken to the street, you know, throwing bottles, violence on the street, marches and all that stuff. Now, in terms of metal video, rock video, or basically all kind of stuff, even Cranberries had this kind of a content in their video back in the days with the zombie song. So that is not a new thing here. Having this kind of a commentary video material on music video is not new even to Ministries. If you take a look at like New World Order or stuff like that, this is just basically something that it's kind of a logical step in the career of the band. Now, what kind of is confusing in the video are not only their lyrics or the content of the video material there, but all these combined with the band called Ministry. Now, the thing is that some of the viewers obviously think it's pro-Antifa clear, and there's nothing to be debated about it. Some of the people like me kind of confused, like so it kind of leaves this pro message, like pro Antifa, yeah, it's all about anarchy, it's all about fighting the power, you know, screw the police and all that stuff. But it kind of is also like maybe there's some sort of criticism, and it's clear that, you know, Ministry is not the band, you know, walking on the right path of politics. That's kind of a given, but it's not also that clear that if he's actually kind of agreeing with all the points Antifa is making throughout the world. Now, clearly this video is all about American politics, foremost anyway, and that is quite clear if you just listen to the song or watch the video. And some people might be, I'm not sure, but I did a little bit reading on the comments about the video, or just kind of like I cannot see how this is pro-Antifa, this is too weird, or not like straight to the point kind of thing. But besides that, that is kind of our stepping stone to the matter at hand. Now, Antifa has been kind of a ISIS version of what it comes to blocking, terrorizing, or taking steps to not to make some bands play at venues, be it festivals like outdoors or inside gigs, big or small, doesn't really matter. There are bands that have been basically stopped playing their gigs because of massive boycotts, or threatening the venue or organizers, promoters and whatnot, because this and that band might have kind of political sympathies or messages in the lyrics, or just, you know, wearing certain type of logos, symbols, names, slogans and whatnot. And meanwhile, some of these bands are clearly and openly more or less right-wing. Meanwhile, Antifa is strongly, very extremely left-wing. So clearly there are these kind of situations where these are just two opposing forces clashing. So it's kind of understandable why extreme left-wing people just want to basically block out these right-wing bands. And to a certain extent I kind of understand it, because that's what in politics people do. If they're not talking heads, you know, having like rounded edges and all that stuff in, you know, like government, democracy especially, then they are people who, like, you know, have open opinions, be it about immigrants, racism, or just whatever. And that's where people clash, and it's totally understandable. I'm not personally so much interested in that topic. I could say, I wanted to say it doesn't concern me, but obviously it does. But it's not like a thing where I am putting my efforts into. I try to stay away from this kind of politics as much as possible. It's not my thing, so let's not go there. But the thing is that when there are bands that have open, you know, message, you know, being this right-wing thing, when they are like having these strong opinions, be it about racial issues or be it about, you know, glorifying like 1940s Germany in Europe, or being these kind of a ultra communistic or anarchistic people who want to just like not only to liberate the world from the governments, but are just like anti-right. I try not to use these kind of words which are so easily taken from the decks, and you just suddenly you're mentioning names like Adolf Hitler or Joseph Stalin or whatever, and it gets too messy. People are playing these words way too easily. So let's not get into that, because that's not most often the issue here. It's actually more like certain people having the image of some other bands or people or organizers, promoters or whatever, having a thing which some people sometimes mistakenly figure out to be something else. Do you follow me? Okay, I try to explain, because I know I'm not making this overly clear here. So let's say there's a band singing about war, singing about extremities done in the world and violence and all that stuff. Now they have image on the front of the CD. Let's say there is a tank. Let's say it's a German tank. Let's say there are logos. And no, I'm not talking about swastikas, but I'm talking about kind of like German 1940s kind of stuff without swastikas. You know, there are others than swastikas, okay? So this band is singing about war. This is singing about violence. This is singing about kind of a nasty stuff that happened during the war and people involved with it. But they are not, you know, taking sides here. They are not advocating this and that. They are not saying that Europe should be this and that, be it about government. They are not talking about, let's say, immigrants. They are not talking about races. They are not maybe talking about religions. But they have these certain kind of imagery, and they are probably kind of anti-peace, at least when it comes to this kind of music and the imagery, because this is not about, you know, like one world, one nation, but it's, you know, singing about some nasty stuff that there might not be but there could be an agenda behind that. But when it's not made clear, then it's up to the individual to decide what is going on here. Okay, and that is when all these misinterpretations start. Because, for example, take a look on this kind of album and you just figure out. So these guys are pro-war, and because they have this German tank on the cover, they must be National Socialists. They must be Nazi sympathizers. And that is when things go ballistic. That's when people start typing on the net or making a video like I'm doing right now or whatever. And that's how things get messy. People get misunderstood and they don't have this kind of a civil conversation like, hey, you have this, band and you have these nasty logos and Panzerwagens and blah, blah, blah on the cover. Are you sure about that? No, we are just talking about war here. We think war is a nasty situation. Okay, that's fine. So you're not Nazi sympathizers. No, we just don't care about that, but we want to think about war. Okay, fine. There's not this kind of dialogue, but that is actually this go, hey, these guys are Nazis, boycott them and don't go to their gigs, and any other band that goes to their gigs, they are Nazis too. Just, let's start boycotting, let's start bombarding the promoter, and you get, things go ballistic. And there is like no way where these bands can, just say anything like, hey, I didn't do a thing. Yeah, it's too late. You are, if you're denying it, you're denialist. If you are just like, I don't care, then you are basically admitting that you are what we accused you to be. And that is one of the problems. For example, Marduk, the infamous Swedish black metal band, never been a Nazi band until recently, like a few months ago, they suddenly were. Why? Because some people felt that because they have like Second World War topics in their like lyrics or Panzerwagens on their front cover or whatever, and suddenly, boom, in the United States, people were claiming that they were National Socialist black metal band, NSBM that is, and they had to be thrown out and cancelling the gigs, and some of those gigs got cancelled. The thing is, there never was this kind of neutral dialogue going on. This was not like I just said, they were like, hey guys, are you Nazis? No, we're not. Okay, it's fine. Nope. And the thing is, when people are actually like openly, Nazis or right-wing people, they don't usually have problems saying that. Because if they are actually like openly politic, like, these extreme politic people are, they're like, yeah, we are this and that, so what? You don't like us, peace off, and all that stuff. So the thing is, people get these accusations, but the other people don't, get to defend themselves. So the thing is going, like I said, ballistic. Now, there was a couple of gigs in Finland as well, really small time things in a small bars and whatever. But when people, left-wing activists actually found out which kind of people are, playing the gig there, they wanted to basically terrorize the place. Now, you have to remember at the moment there was nothing illegal going on there. Just a band or two and people going to see the bands. And it doesn't matter if their lyrics are, I don't know, parental advisory, explicit content type of stuff. Doesn't matter. It doesn't, have to be there, anything like that. But if people have always kind of like a hunch that these guys might be a right-wing band, we can, actually terrorize that stuff. Now the thing is that this doesn't exactly hurt the band so much. They actually get people defending them. Because if their gigs get cancelled, they get their sympathies. Because, people don't want to see that kind of stuff happening. Most people just, want to enjoy a good gig. They might not even agree with these kind of lyrics and stuff. They just want to go see a band play live and, yeah, let's drink a few beers and oh yeah. And they don't care. But if these gigs get cancelled because of some kind of strikes or attacks, then people get pissed and these evil bands actually get more support. Like I said, most people don't give rat's ass about this, whether it's left wing or right wing, they just want to hear music. Obviously, some people have more strong opinions about this and that, like left wing people don't most likely go to the right wing band gigs and so forth, other way around. But most people, they don't see an issue here. They don't go, do bad stuff just because some band or a person in that band might have opinion about this and that topic. And then there are cases where people, such as the Narmataron from Greece, which I mentioned last time, for example, like one of their members is a political activist, and yes, he's related to right-wing politics, but he's also elected in democratic nation. So in legal terms, there is nothing wrong going on. But because this band has one member who has, by the way, said that his political views don't define the band itself, well, this band still kind of got this Nazi flag on. And when they were going to play in Finland, that gig kind of got attacked. The venue got threatened, and left-wing activists kind of attacked the whole thing. And there was much debate behind closed doors and also openly in the public, and things went AWOL, and it was just like crazy stuff about one underground band, which, by the way, don't have that much an impact in the world. Now, we're not talking about big pop stars or anything like that. But there is also this funny thing which actually got to my... how I got to know it was because one of our followers actually was kind enough to point out in the previous video that there's a clear difference what people can say based on what they have done before. So, for example, if NSBM band says even remotely something dubious about, let's say, immigrants or foreign policy or whatever, that is so quickly red flag and alarms start off. But when band personalities like Murkur say something about invaders coming from Middle East, that's like, okay, you might be a little Islamophobic there, but it's okay because after all, you're not a Nazi. That's something like, what is going on around here? Now, I'm not saying that you should not label Murkur or anything like that, as a Nazi band or like, because that would be just ridiculous. But the thing is that meanwhile, we're talking about equality. We're talking about every person should be, having the same kind of rights about opinions and this and that. It's not really what's happening here. And the thing is, it's not happening because people are so goddamn busy judging each other. Probably I'm getting judged because of this video, and it's just basically beyond my control. Meanwhile, I have no ties to left or right, and I try to keep that way. I've already been, called on social media, both as a left-wing person as well as a right-wing person. Some people might make funny remarks because of my kind of a short hair or lack of hair, and like, hey, he's a skinhead, right? And some people might be, calling me a left-wing people because I'm like, oh man, those opinions like, and suddenly, boom, I'm this and that. So, depending on the, people and their opinions and their agenda or whatever, people get judged so easily. And usually, it is coming from that kind of people, who are kind of making their effort to make world so much better. But on whose terms? Theirs or in general? And that is also the big question in metal music. Now the thing is that we can pretty much agree black metal is not trying to make the world better. So they are kind of like an easy target for this kind of attacks. And I guess it comes with the territory. If you play extreme metal, then you are going to face extreme stuff. So in that sense, in those terms, I kind of understand that these kind of assaults or attacks or whatever you want to call them kind of happen. But the thing is that even these kind of In terms of bands, they're kind of a collateral damage. There actually been quite a few bands which are like, let's say, interested in folklore or fantasy stuff and whatever. So if you have certain kind of runes, if you kind of like, I don't know, have weird logos which some people think as suspicious, then suddenly, boom, you are labeled as the, enemy of the left wing, which is kind of weird because that is, I think, how this, things gonna get started, heated up. It's kind of like, if you push me, should I just, like, okay, you push me, oh, and then you push me again. What I'm gonna do, eventually I have to do something that you don't push me again. And it doesn't mean that I'm gonna hit you, it doesn't mean I'm gonna push you back, but I'm gonna do something. Walk away, maybe, it depends on the situation. Now, this is just, a kind of a metaphoric thinking. But what I mean is actually that if the people on the left, should I use this hand or that one? Depends. The thing is that if people just kind of push people on the opposite direction and say, you better stop it before we make you gonna stop. It's like, okay, fine, I'm just gonna left sides, I'm gonna leave these rooms and suddenly I'm gonna change my lyrics and all that stuff, It doesn't go like that. And actually, many people, as you can pretty much know from your personal past, we don't operate like that. Threatening works so far, but it also invokes the kind of reaction when you just do the opposite. If I tell you, calm the fuck down, will you calm? Maybe, but most likely you won't. There might be this kind of situation when things actually go the opposite way. And the calm, or the person who would be calm, is quite the opposite, maybe even attacking. So these kind of things usually, they go bad way. Maybe not ballistic, like I said before, but they just, might go the wrong direction. So the thing is that these kind of political things, when messed with metal, which is most of the time apolitical, it kind of gets messy and it certainly creates problem, even with the bands that have nothing to do with politics per se. So it kind of becomes like this collateral damage, and this yet again stirs the soup, so to speak. So I'm not just blaming Antifa, I'm just, blaming ignorant people, because it depends on the view. Some people that, for example, Antifa is, one big organized thing, where some people just say it's not organized thing, it's individuals acting this and that, and sometimes they agree and sometimes they don't. So it's kind of a anarchy in anarchy itself. Does it make sense? Maybe not, but I hope you get my point anyway. So the thing is that the world is kind of mess in the sense of metal versus politics, because it is not so simple. It's not just like there's right people, there's left people, and there's just people in the middle, and that is the gray area. It's actually, the gray area people pull towards right and left, and that's kind of when this collateral damage starts to happen. Now, is there a perfect solution for this? No way. As long as we have strong political extremities, we have religions that are willing to toss acid on people's faces or, stone people to death and all kind of stuff, there won't be, any kind of unified view about metal, because there won't be a unified view about in the world, And metal music is so kind of so different, vastly disorganized thing that even there might be two left-wing bands which might not disagree with it, which might agree with each other, and the same goes for right-wing bands and most of the bands in between. They don't want to touch the subject because they don't want to have this kind of talk and accusations and whatnot. So this kind of with us or against us kind of thinking or ideology doesn't work very well, at least when it comes to metal music. And when we add the layer called business here, it all gets so much more complicated. But I think that is enough for this topic, this time. Looking forward to hear your comments and opinions and disagreements, agreements, and all kind of stuff about black metal, Antifa, and all the things in politics. What do you think? Is there stuff that we should be talking about? And how do you think the metal and politics will proceed in the future? We'll see about that. More stuff to come here to you, Rauta. Hope you enjoy your Yule, Christmas, or whatever you're celebrating if you're watching this when this is being broadcasted. And if not, have a good year and let's bring more metal next year. See ya. Stay metal.